Yo, yo, yo.
You sound like Tom Haverford.
Hello, mic check.
Are there any Parks and Rec fans in here?
Oh, Tay-Tay is at the game right now, Carla Marie. Did you know that?
Are you kidding?
No.
I showed you.
You showed me what?
I showed you her bangs.
You said, I think I can pull off Taylor Bangs.
And I showed it, and it was her at the game.
See, this is your problem. You made it about you instead of saying, hey, Taylor Swift is at the game and this is what she looks like.
But her outfit, I can't. It is slaying. She went full wag. She's not even doing like the cute little jacket this year. She's going full wives and girlfriends.
Are people complaining about her on the screen
Not
already?
yet, but the dads, Chads, and Brads are probably like choking. That's them dying.
Martha, thank you very much for your subscription at Tier 1, currently on a 44-month streak. Morgan from Cedro Woolley, good to see you. I see Mergen, I see Drown You Out, I see, who else? Lenny's in here, Kiara, Veronica, Juan, Chris, who I was just talking to on Instagram about history podcasts.
Cool.
What is the Teddy
Oh.
Roosevelt podcast you're listening to right
History that doesn't suck. I already finished the Teddy one. They're short, they're great. It's a college professor. I think he's kind of young because I've been college professor that's teaching history and it's always an old white man to me, but he's younger and his voice is so calming. And I was like, wow, I learned so much.
Hello, Brooke. Critter 3, first time chat. Tay looks so good in all caps.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome. Nope, good evening and welcome to the Carla Marie and Anthony Show. Thankfully, I will not have to keep saying good evening because, as this list says, for Thursday, September 5th, we are back to mornings on Monday.
We are.
Next week, we'll be back to our normal schedule for both this stream and the Morning Show podcast. Because like last week, we were off for the Morning Show podcast.
Yeah.
So, and this week was only 4 days a week out of the week. So next week will be normal. Yes,
Did you
Carla?
not say the day was, you said September 4th?
Oh.
Out loud?
Oh, no, I forgot to say this. It looks like, and I tried to update it, it looks like the podcast says September 4th today.
That was me then.
Yeah.
When were you going to tell me that?
Today when we got here, but then we got distracted.
I listened to the podcast today.
And you didn't look? You didn't look at the thumbnail that you made?
Nope.
So, it's okay.
No, that's going to drive me insane.
So what are you doing? Carla Marie's walking out now.
Quit.
And then Julie said the blog isn't up for the podcast today.
I quit. How come like you guys just wait till 8 p.m.?
Well, I think, to be honest, first off, there was one person who messaged me this morning about it, and I went in and changed it myself. That's why I'm surprised it didn't.
No, it didn't. It's still in here as this.
Then maybe I didn't press save properly or something. But I think people also reach out to the Carla Marie and Anthony account, not our personal accounts, which is normal, and it's the thing they're supposed to do. We just have to check it more often. So, Wendy
I wouldn't
in
listen
Brooklyn.
to this podcast. Too many errors.
At least the errors we make are the ones that aren't that important. Or like earlier on Tuesdays.
Like factually, our information is
Yeah.
pretty on par. Why wouldn't this post?
I'm actually tomorrow. I have something that I'm writing right now for tomorrow's podcast, for the Morning Show podcast. And as unbiased as we try to be on the Morning Show podcast, right? It's normally just, here's the facts. You do what you want with this information. I think you're going to hear a little bit of my actual frustration come out
Okay.
in tomorrow's edition of the Morning Show podcast. In the first story, in the first update, I should say, that I give. And that's because if you remember, while we were off, actually, the big news in Florida was this plan, this secret plan that the state parks department was working on to convert 8 of their state parks, or 8 or 9 of their state parks, into golf courses, luxury hotels, pickleball courts, a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
And
I signed the petition to stop it.
Here's the thing. The cool thing about that story was there was someone who was brave enough to be a whistleblower and say, hey, they're doing this thing in secret, and I don't think they've, like, floated this by the proper environmental channels and whatnot.
I think it was like a city planner. I think it was someone that normally has to do the blueprints.
It was the cartographer for the Parks Department in Florida. So it was the person who was literally given the plans and said, map this all out for us. And the thing that I loved was not that there was someone who was brave enough to say, like, hey, this isn't being done properly. But it seemed, to me at least, and I don't live in Florida, I didn't see the local Florida news, but it seems to me like it was a nonpartisan issue. Everyone, right, left, conservative, progressive, whatever, everyone's like, no. We do not need more hotels.
Golf course.
And I looked it up, actually. It'll be in tomorrow's podcast. Florida already has 100 more golf courses than any other state in America.
Doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you build that? Seems like a poor business decision.
So all of the information leads people, besides the thousands and thousands, probably millions of people that signed that petition.
Yeah.
And the public outcry from everybody. The person who was the whistleblower got fired. Yeah. And all the government has said, and I think Ron DeSantis made this, because he said, oh, well, the plans weren't finished, blah, blah, blah.
He said he'd never seen them.
And maybe he hadn't. But
likely story.
They didn't say we are not going to turn the parks into golf courses. They said we are going to go back to the drawing board. And
Just
the
don't
plans,
touch 'em.
And the plans are being delayed, which means we're going to fire the people that we don't trust. And we're going to make sure that we do this. But the thing that's annoying is clearly the public doesn't want it.
Yeah.
But there are corporate interests who are probably saying, I don't care what the public wants. I know that I can turn X amount of dollars over in the year if I have this hotel and this golf course, and we're just going to do it.
That guy said he came home from like a weekend trip or something, and he had a letter saying he was fired.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Also, that guy better move because he's going to end up in a swamp.
I wouldn't be surprised if he disappeared.
100%. He's gone.
At least it doesn't work for Boeing.
Oh.
He'd be dead already.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Do you think iHeart will ever kill us?
Would iHeart? I don't think iHeart has honestly, I don't think iHeart has enough money to pay the person as much as they would need to kill us. Or like, you got to pay someone a lot of money to kill another human being, and enough money, because you're never going to trust them fully. But if you give them enough money,
Just shut up.
you could probably trust them, right? So I don't think iHeart has enough money to do that. They barely have enough money to pay producers in their radio stations.
It's true.
And that's like a $30,000 a year job.
I just think about when Angela paid that guy in the office to try to kill Oscar because he was, and
I think
it was like $50 or something.
I think that's a little different. You know what's funny? Talking about podcasts earlier, we talked about the
history that doesn't suck.
History that doesn't suck. The podcast that I've been enamored with recently is the Muscle Mayhem one, or what's it called? Muscle Men?
Muscle Men.
It's called Muscle Men, and it's a BBC series where they look into like extremes of things and they do these mini series about them. I'm on episode 6. It comes out every Monday. The episode that I just finished listening to ends with someone talking about paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a hit on someone in the steroid business. And I'm like, I cannot wait.
The drama.
I cannot wait to hear this. So apparently it costs a lot of money to kill somebody. I wouldn't know. It's not the industry I'm in.
I don't want to Google it either.
Yeah.
And I don't think Incognito would save me from that.
I don't think. Well, Incognito actually doesn't save you from what you think it saves you from.
It just saves you that it's not on your phone physically.
It's not on your history. But T-Mobile or CenturyLink or whoever you run your internet through, your internet service provider, still gets all the information that you request from the internet.
I don't know. How do you find a hitman? I don't know.
Does anyone know? Anyone here know how to find a hitman?
Go to New Jersey. Go to your local delis.
You know, there are a couple people who I previously worked with when I lived in New Jersey, who absolutely, they're all older guys, absolutely had connections with some mafia, mob people. And I guarantee they would know, like, the going rates and
I think,
stuff.
like, some of my mom's cousins no longer alive.
Yeah.
They, like, knew, like, John Gotti or somebody. They worked in the docks, you know?
Dock workers are good people to ask. They got to know someone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to butcher this story, but apparently the Italian dock workers and the mob connections they had were actually used during World War II to protect the docks from Axis powers, because Lucky Luciano, who was one of the mob bosses, apparently had ties in Italy that were keeping tracks on Mussolini and what the Italian army was doing and using them to spy on the German army. So the American government was working with the mafia at one point to make sure that we weren't getting attacked in New York Harbor, where they were controlling the docks. It's wild. Like, that type of history is what people should be learning in schools. Instead of like, oh, Columbus came here and there was no one living here, so he said, why don't we just call this America?
And you know what? He had a great big dinner with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then the people who were here, they loved that we were here, so we had
all 12 of them sat at dinner with him.
They threw a whole
feast
in November.
Cornucopia.
Yeah. That would be the great history to learn, though.
That's why you got to listen to history that doesn't suck.
But the problem is, if you teach students that history, it is tougher to create the image of America that the government would want you to subscribe
Not that the government
to.
worked with the mafia.
Yeah.
I think that's badass.
It is.
I think that's being resourceful.
So that's
Instead
the problem.
That's what everyone needs to understand. Like, sometimes you don't have to follow the law. You just got to be resourceful.
Let's see. Nick NYC718 said Lucky Luciano was very diverse in his work projects. He was all over. He also, was he the one? No. Arnold Rothstein, I believe, was the mobster who paid the Black Sox, a.k.a. the White Sox, who then threw the World Series. He paid them to throw the World Series.
So that people would win money?
So, well, he bet a lot of, he made an investment, right? He pays all these players, or however many of them he needed to pay, to throw the World Series and to lose.
He made more money.
Then you just bet enough to cover those losses and make even more.
When did it come out that he did that? Right after, or
It wasn't that far after. Like, he was still alive and dealing with the fallback. Let's see.
It is kind of wild, like the whole world of, like,
Rothstein always denied it, but he was the man suspected by many of engineering the Chicago Black Sox baseball scandal when players threw the 1919 World Series. Jewish mob boss from New York City.
Did the coach know? Could you imagine being like, what the are you idiots doing?
You would think, honestly, that this year's White Sox were trying to throw the games, but let's see.
Dare I ask a question? Because I want you to be, I don't need the whole history.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
History buff.
There's random things I know about.
Why don't you do a podcast called History Buff? And you're so strong.
Why would that matter in the podcast? Am I just like, oh, Arnold Rothstein paid the Black Sox, blah, blah, blah. Plus, I benched 225 today 8 times.
There's something there, like the strongest men, or you go like super shallow and you talk about the body composition of history, people throughout history. Like, tell me about Benny Frank.
He's usually depicted as a heavier person.
But
I don't know.
How much did he actually weigh, right? Also, Marilyn Monroe, everyone thinks that she was like this 100-pound woman. She was not, which is great.
If I was to do a podcast,
History Buff,
I think History Buff would be like the history of sports and working out throughout the
You only talk about people that are dead, so no one gets mad.
Okay.
And it's about like what they did physically, right? Like, what's his name? Benjamin Franklin. I almost called him Arnold Franklin. What he did did he work out? Did they have machines?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I don't. Maybe I'll do it in History Buff, Carla Marie.
Okay,
I'm looking up. I'm trying to see let's see. They threw the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds. He bet against them and made a large profit in what is called the Black Sox scandal.
Oh, that was my question. So it was the White Sox.
Yeah.
I thought the team name switched.
No, they called them the Black Sox because it was a scandal and they had to throw in the game and it was
Red
dirty.
Sox then? No, like the Scarlet Letter scandal.
No, I don't think. Well, that's also a team. Let's see what the chat is saying right now.
Do they like my idea? The history of health? That's not history buff.
We'll figure it out.
No one likes my idea.
No, I think there's something there. I just need to figure out kind of what it is.
Benjamin will be Benchman Franklin for the purpose of the show. Did Benjamin Franklin work out? This is all I'm going to Google, and then we're going to go from there.
Okay. Didn't he just like going to France and like having sex with prostitutes and stuff?
Hey, just side note, my mom just texted the whole family that Jiffy peanut butter got recalled. Is that what I just bought you?
I think so, yeah. I had it yesterday. I felt fine.
Oh, what? Apparently, Benjamin Franklin worked out like crazy.
Get out of here.
In terms of diet, Franklin practiced mindful observation. Pay attention to your weight and heed what you eat, he suggested. If you don't do this podcast, I'm doing it. Then Franklin continued to be a religious exerciser throughout his life. He especially enjoyed swimming, walking, and leaping.
Some plyometrics. That makes sense.
And then to correspond with each episode of History Buff, you do an Instagram and TikTok video about how they worked out. And I need your ass
I dress up like them?
leaping around the office.
I dress up like Ben Franklin?
Guys.
Colonial Fitness, says Mellow FM. Yeah, these are the important questions, though. Like, what's Ben Franklin's deadlift?
Okay, when old age restricted his activity choices, he would focus on lifting and swinging weights. No gains without pains, he would say, when hobbling from muscle soreness.
Where are you finding this no pains without gains quote? That is insane.
RealClearScience.com.
There's no way Benjamin Franklin said no pains, no gains without pains.
That's not what I remember him looking like. Is this a different Benjamin Franklin? He looked like that?
I always remember him looking a little rounder than that.
And he had like balls.
But I'm also, I think I'm using the image of him from like Schoolhouse Rock.
No, that's
or something.
Him. That's who I thought of.
He does have a round face. Maybe that's what I'm going with.
Benjamin. No pains, no gains. No, like this was one of his quotes.
Stop. What do you mean one of his quotes?
He famously was the first person. He's the first episode of your podcast.
No pains, no gains.
Oh my God, there's a shirt. There is a shirt. Look at it. Benjamin Franklin flexing, and it says History Buff.
That shirt could be done much better. I think we have to make it and sell it. Carla Murray. Because they just took a picture of Ben Franklin, like from the $100 bill, and put arms on it. I would just pay someone on Fiverr to make an actual cartoon version of jacked Benny.
Did Benjamin Franklin exercise? He exercised frequently. This is from the medical world of Benjamin Franklin. This is NCBI. The National Institute of Health has an entire article about Benjamin Franklin. Our friend Colleen just joined the chat. She texted me and said, oh my God, I signed on when Anthony was screaming about you saying Benjamin Franklin said no pains, no gains, and I'm crying. Colleen, I just pitched a podcast called History Buffs, where Anthony, in each episode, will talk about one person from history and their body composition / what they did to work out how they ate. And Benjamin was my first one. And apparently, this is what we like to call zingers in the world of ideas.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect. Because
why is it called a zinger?
Because I went with Benjamin and he invented electricity, right?
Was that his workout, just flying those kites?
Was that him?
Yes.
Who was the electricity?
He flew the kite and got zapped.
So he was leaping. He was leaping with this kite. So anyway, the fact that I went with his name first, it's just Kismet. The universe was like,
is it a Kismet or is it a zinger?
Zinger Kismet. And I thought, I swear to God, I will do this podcast if you don't do it.
Let's see. Dax Shepard would be all over that podcast. He's always talking about men's bodies on Armchair Expert. I've never listened to an episode of Armchair Expert. I heard it's like incredible though.
It is good.
That was from Dana in Maryland in the Twitch chat.
Fred the Mailman said Jesus did CrossFit. Do you get it?
Yes, I get it.
Cross.
Because he was on the cross.
Yeah, but it's called, yeah.
He was, you know what's funny?
It too.
There was, I think it was when we went to your friend Alex's wedding. because they had her husband
Yeah.
is Greek Orthodox. And in Greek Orthodox churches, I actually wish our Syrian Orthodox churches looked a little more like the Greek Orthodox ones because they have way more like art and the colors pop and everything.
That's called a museum.
They had this depiction of Jesus on the ceiling, and I kept looking at it because I swear to you, they gave Jesus a 12-pack. That guy had more abs than anything I've ever seen.
My Jesus in my church has a lot of abs.
Yeah, but not
I
like
haven't
this.
been there in a while, actually. I don't know what he looks like. May have packed on some pounds.
Normally, they give Jesus like starving people abs, where you could like see them. But they gave Jesus in this Orthodox church in New York, this Greek Orthodox church.
Because it's not.
They gave him like muscle abs.
Well, because in every other church it's rib cages.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
abs.
No, he was like bang. He was like he
Those
was
Greeks,
he was
man.
probably taking some like testosterone replacement supplements or something. At least for that picture, he was.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So he'll
Let's
be
see.
on a
Picture
episode.
of Korean Jesus is jacked. Is there a different? Let's see. Korean Jesus. Oh my God. He's huge. I got to put this on the screen. Hold on. Why is he so jacked? Let me get this on the screen. Give me like 30 seconds.
Good, and then I have an update for History Buff.
Okay. Let's see if this works. That is apparently Korean Jesus. Can everyone appreciate? I mean, the pecs are incredible.
That's nuts.
If I could look like one person, snap my fingers and look like one person, Korean Jesus.
Yeah, I like that.
You want to look like that as well?
Oh, you.
Ew, are you attracted to Korean Jesus? You weirdo.
Okay, you look like regular Jesus already. So what are you
Exactly.
talking about? You literally look like him.
When I had long hair and I served
No.
on the altar.
When they did the recreation of what Jesus looked like 2 years ago, it was you.
Yeah, so I want to say it was National Geographic ran a bunch of, I don't know, studies, experiments, and whatnot, and then used genetic data to figure out what Jesus would have looked like.
And it was you.
And it looked very much like me. I mean, me and that Jesus would have been cousins at the very least. But also, you have to remember that my family is Palestinian. Like, the church that I grew up going to is credited as being the first church. Like, directly descendant from the apostles. The Syrian Orthodox Church came from that. It's why our Bible, like in our church services, we still use Aramaic, which is the language that Jesus spoke.
Wait,
What?
Jesus didn't speak English?
You're
No, wait. I'm thinking because the Bible, when they're
was
quoting
translated.
him. No, but then why didn't we learn that language? Wait a minute.
Did you really? What are you talking? You're not
I
being
100%
serious.
thought Jesus spoke English.
You're doing this for the bit.
I've never. Okay, wait. I think if you would have said to me, "Did Jesus speak English?" I probably would have had to think and said no.
Okay.
But never in my mind did I ever think he wasn't speaking
Yeah,
English. Like
it's
when he
Aramaic.
says things, it's English.
It's one of the Semitic languages.
No, I know that.
Yeah. Arabic, Aramaic, Hebrew. There's like 3 or 4 other languages that fall into the Semitic language, which is also one of the reasons.
Okay, but
Continue.
I think that in the Catholic Church, they should start saying things in the exact way Jesus said it. And you would watch all these Irish and Italian people be like, this is impossible. There's no way Jesus wasn't speaking English.
Come to my church.
I've
A
been
lot
there,
of our hymns
and I
are.
have no idea what they're saying.
No, you wouldn't. But it would. But here's the interesting thing. I would actually. I think our church might live stream.
What?
Some of our churches might live stream. Either way, I think it would actually be beneficial for people if you don't care about Jesus and Christianity or whatever, then this is not beneficial to you. But I think it would be beneficial to a lot of people who are Christians to go to a Syrian Orthodox church and listen to some of the hymns just so you'd be like, oh, that's what this would have sounded like
Yeah.
with Jesus and the apostles. And granted, all of those hymns were written
Guys.
much further after Jesus was crucified. But
If you ask any member of my family, I'm not saying that they are the pillars of genius, but not one of them will say any language other than English if you ask them what Jesus spoke.
how?
I don't know,
Well, I do think there is a disconnect, especially here in America.
because no one told me that.
Well,
I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like I just like in CCD. We were never taught that. It was just this is what Jesus said.
Mhm.
It wasn't the Bible has been translated. That's never what you ever learn.
Okay.
You would think it's something that's like constantly brought up. I'm not
Okay,
saying
let me
sitting
ask
here
you-
arguing with you that Jesus spoke English.
I
at
understand.
all.
Let me ask the group, right? Before this moment, did you assume that Jesus was speaking English? Or did you ever, not even that, did you ever think about the original language that
Never.
Jesus spoke? I guess is the better question.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Why would I? Because no one ever told me what it was. Fred the mailman said I always went to Spanish mass and I thought Jesus was Latino.
Jesus! It's your boy Jesus. Let's see. Coast to Coast Kiara said, I've recently had this realization too, Carla Marie. This is one of the craziest
good
things.
one. Lenny said I thought he spoke Latin. I think that's what my family would be like. It was Latin.
Well, so early on, when the New Testament was written and then translated, some of the first texts were either Hebrew, Aramaic, or Latin/Greek, because those were the biggest
So
languages
that's
of
what I
those
think.
times.
Like
Yeah.
in my head, it was that it'll say something like the Bible is translated from Latin, or the book like this
Yeah.
hymn was. So that's what was in my head before that. I would have never thought of Aramaic.
Well, this is and this is not to harp on religion necessarily, but this is one of the reasons that learning that history is important, because it starts helping you realize why there are different translations and why there are debates about the meaning of passages in the Bible, because oftentimes there aren't the proper words to translate from one language to another. So in the best effort of the translator, you pick a close word, but that close word over time can get very far away from the original meaning. And that is why you have literal theological debates about the meaning of some of the text in the Old and New Testament, because you go, we
one
don't
word
have
can
a word.
completely change things too.
And then meanings change over time. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I feel like it's something that I've never thought, like I've never had to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting here being like, oh, I thought it was English the whole time. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Like
It's also, why would you, right? Like, you're learning, especially in a
need to
CCD
ask.
class when you're talking to kids.
I taught CCD.
That's a whole different story. Rain from Washington. I definitely assumed he spoke English until now. But it's also a very American problem.
100%
Because one of the ways you can use religion to manipulate people is to tie it to your national identity. And that's why you'll start hearing, when you watch more news stuff, you'll start hearing about Christian nationalists. It's not that there's anything wrong with being Christian or being a nationalist. It's saying when you tie the two together and you make your nationality part of your religion, that's where you run into some problems.
Right. When did English become a language?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I don't even think he was around for that.
With the that's a great question. I don't know when English, because like England existed. When did English
exist
become a language? In
The
the
5th
5th century. So
So Jesus wasn't even alive.
not even that. There wasn't, according to the
That's
internet
AI
right now,
Yeah, I gotta look down a little bit.
according to that,
It's according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. The English language itself really took off with the invasion
okay, here it is.
of Britain during the 5th century. 3 Germanic tribes, the Jutes, Saxons, and Angles, were seeking new lands to conquer and crossed over from the North Sea. So it took off, or was like, what does that mean? So that seems like more people learned of it.
Yeah.
It had been around before then.
Okay.
But still, 500 years before that?
What other history things are we talking about today?
The history buff really took off. Ooh, Ashley
And
guessed.
this is all because of jacked Korean Jesus. Thank you, Lenny from Queens, for pointing that out.
My sister guessed Arabic. Very great guess.
Close. I mean, they're sister languages, if anything.
I just shouldn't say that before they all start asking me questions.
What?
I'm going to just send the answer and then tell them. I can't believe it. I always thought Jesus was like, peace out.
Well, on the cross, like, see you later, guys. Gonna go
Peace.
see Pops.
Peace.
Enjoy my body for the next 3 days because it's gonna leave. What are there any other
No one else
responses?
responded, but I gave him the answer.
Man, I don't think have gotten into anything that we have on this list yet, and we already have to take our break. So we are going to be back to mornings on Monday. That is something we want to make sure everyone knows. 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday next week, as we have been for however many years we've done this stream. And when we get back, we will talk about Carla Marie Anthony music news. We will talk about living in the Spideyverse and Baby Jake. We have to give him a lot of credit. He has a very big ad that will be played at some point today in the
And the football season.
the footballs games.
At the Taylor game.
All right. We'll be right back. We've only got about 30 seconds left until this ad break is over. So just enjoy this little screen for a second. All right, let's get back into it, Carla Marie, shall we?
Oh, hold on.
What are you doing there?
You know how we got those scams?
Which
The
scams?
person that's scamming people saying that they're going to be on our podcast. And then
yes.
So I now it's like they're amped it up. They're using several emails. I get like 5-something messages a day from people saying, hey, is this person James Carey real? They've reached out to me about being on your podcast. They end up talking to these people and stealing their whole Facebook page. A retired TV reporter reached out to me. I don't know if they want to do a story about it somehow.
Are we getting
It's
scammed
happening
now?
to her too. It happened to her.
Okay, but are we getting scammed
Maybe.
by this person?
It's on Instagram, meaning like it's not an email.
So it has to be real. You've never gotten a scam on
Yeah.
Instagram?
Oh, she got on the call with them. Ultimately, he was able to get in and take control of all my Facebook accounts. She said, I'm in a never mind, I take it back. She's a former investigative, I'm a retired TV reporter. I'm embarrassed that as a person who has spent my entire career questioning, I'm telling people how not to get scammed,
Yeah.
and I got scammed.
Yeah.
And it sucks for me because it's like I post about it, but I can't walk around
Yeah.
every day with a billboard that says do not answer emails from me.
I think at some point, the 3 accounts, my account, your account, and the show's account, have to just put up something like that's pinned to the very top
Yeah.
that just says, hey, don't get scammed and get on a Zoom call with a stranger
Well,
and
it's
don't
annoying
give them
'cause
access to your accounts.
It says the Carla Marie, the morning show the girl today was like, I was so confused why you would want to talk to me. Anyway, she's like a mom that talks about how to stay calm. Like that's her whole thing. The calm mom or something is her whole page.
Yeah.
She's like, I was confused why you would want to talk to me because you seem like you're in the sports world. And I was like, I was like, here's the thing. We don't even have guests on our
Yeah,
podcast.
not often.
But I can't tell you now, this is probably the 5th person that has lost essentially their entire livelihood
Yeah, it depends.
because they lose access sometimes to their Instagram through this too.
I know a couple of weeks ago, I think, man, when was it? Judy Torres, who, it's crazy because I know Judy Torres because we work together at KTU.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
still a host on, I think, Sundays. And my friend July was her producer for a long time.
Yeah, she
I
reached
did
out to me.
a ton of shows. Someone tried to reach out to her to do that. And I don't think she was hacked or anything.
No,
I
she
think
was just like, is this real?
Yeah. And thankfully, she's someone who, because we all worked for iHeartRadio at some point, she knows who we are and had
Yeah.
a means to say, like, this
Oh,
sounds kind of weird.
It's happening to friends at like that work for iHeart.
Sean Tempesta, who hosts a morning show in Vegas, not iHeart, but he's known us
Yeah.
for a while. We've had him on the podcast. He also,
Got
I
it
think
from-
2 weeks ago, he reached out and said, hey, this is kind of a sus email. Is this you or not? And I said, it's not. He goes, well, if it wasn't so crappy, it is a hell of a compliment. They think people want to be on your podcast.
Hudson got one.
Oh, did she really?
Yes. And someone the other day realized it was fake, somehow found my actual email and CC'd me
Okay.
with the scammers and was like, we will not be moving forward with this, and CC'd me
Good.
for me to see it. But I was like, I'm not responding. I'm scared to like get whatever virus they have.
So there's a question from Mellow FM. He said, wow, I wonder how people fall for this. And one of the reasons is it looks somewhat official. And what you have to remember is in this space, when you are a creator, whether it's what we do or if you're on traditional broadcast, TV, radio, whatever, this is a normal habit, right? You get emails from teams
Constantly.
and you want to collaborate on different projects, podcasts, whatever. I mean, we think about the amount of emails we get from local TV stations. Hey, we want to have you on this segment.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not as outlandish as you would think to at least get the ball rolling. And the other problem is in this age of, I guess, the engagement economy, right? Where you only really grow by working with others and getting more eyes on your product.
Collaborating.
This is how you make your money. So it's the place you're the most vulnerable.
But
and more susceptible.
Mello said, but CMA fans would know you guys wouldn't ask for access. Yes, that's it.
course.
The people that know us are the ones reaching out saying, hey, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
This woman, she's never interacted with me before. She doesn't
Yeah.
know me at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the kitten lady, she got
I don't know what you're talking
Kitten
about.
lady is her Instagram account.
Okay.
She fosters, saves a bunch of cats, has like 2 million Facebook followers. About a year ago, happened to her. And what they do is
With us?
No,
Oh.
sorry. They connect with you on Zoom, and they say it's a person, and they say, okay, I'm just gonna get access to your Facebook. It's gonna be a live Facebook stream, and I'm gonna need to connect you with Carla Marie's Facebook, and I just need to go in whatever. So many of them have been like, I got to that point, I thought it was weird, but then this thing happens where like I don't want to be rude and be like, you're scamming me, because then that's awkward.
Yeah.
So they kind of let it happen, and it's like it's violating, it's so scary. And then they have you like create a name, an admin on your Facebook, right? So if I was the scammer,
Yeah.
and I was working with you,
Okay.
and your Facebook is called what?
Worst Anthony.
I would say, okay, I'm gonna have you put in my email address,
Oh, as an admin on Worst Anthony.
and then you name it. I need you to name it, but you're gonna name it Worst Anthony.
Okay.
So then when you're going in, you're trying to delete,
Oh.
you don't know which one you're deleting. You can't see it up front. They make it really hard. It's
Listen, they're not
bizarre.
stupid. They're
and
not
then
stupid.
what they do once they get access, because everyone's like, well, what do they do with this? They get in, they start putting malware links, they post them. And then people who follow these people start clicking them.
Yep.
And when you click that link, now they have access to all of your information.
Because what you're getting then, what they're stealing is the trust of that community, right? So hypothetically, if
Yeah.
I got hacked and someone from my account said, oh my God, this link would help us so much if you click this link to support us and vote, right? Whatever it is, vote for us to be
Yep.
podcasters of the year. A ton of people, family, friends, everyone in this community would probably click on that link because they'd say, oh, well, I do want to support them and I do want them to win podcast of the year or whatever. And just like that, they have access to all of your information, everything you enter on your phone, meaning probably your bank info.
Yeah. I clicked a link the other day that was, it was a part of something that I was doing. It was like it was all the right steps, but then I started getting these pop-ups and I was trying to X out. I was like, I don't know what I just, now I'm like, I don't know what I just did. Now I'm getting pop-ups for Norton antivirus. And I'm like, my computer's going to just crash at some point. I don't know how to get rid of all this.
This is one of the reasons, and I do a lot of things that seem counterintuitive, or maybe not counterintuitive. They seem like they waste time on a lot of my devices, whether it's my laptop, whether it's something I use here, cell phone. I will never hit remember this account or remember this computer. Every time I log into my bank account or credit card account, they have to send me a text to confirm.
Yeah, I have that now.
It does, but it doesn't even, there's options like, oh, do you want me to remember this PC? And I'll say no,
Yeah, I say yeah.
because I don't know if I'm always going to have access to it. I try very hard not to link multiple accounts where it'll say like, oh, sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google or whatever. Because again, once you have access to that one account, it spiderwebs out.
Speaking of.
What? Oh, the Spideyverse. Let's talk about that. But yeah, if you ever see anyone that says, oh, I got invited to be on Carla and Anthony's podcast, make sure they're checking in with us as human beings.
Yeah, please. My niece just said, what language did you think Jesus spoke? And is laughing at me.
Which niece?
Gabriella.
I always had faith in her.
She is the smartest one in the whole entire
No pun
family.
intended.
She's the smartest one in the whole family, but really she's not street smart.
I mean, there's different types of smarts.
She would get scammed. I also got scammed, so.
Yeah, who is your guy? Peter from Kenya?
He's a prince, I think, actually. He's got to be.
Where was he from,
I am
though?
a Kenyan princess at this point in time because I paid him.
I don't think Kenyan princes are stealing $300 or whatever. What did they take from you?
$292.
You know what's crazy, though? There are so many different ways to get scammed. And I think we have been forced to feel like it's our fault. And obviously there are things you can do to minimize it or mitigate it, but like, you're not the person who did the bad thing.
No.
Talk about it. Don't be embarrassed, because your story, when you get scammed, is going to help someone else hopefully avoid that same scam. Now, back to spiders.
Sorry, Spideyverse. I'm going to start actually not backwards here, but we have been having so many spiders in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a bit of a conundrum. Lots of spiders in the house. It happens this time of year as the weather starts to change. They're doing their webs. I'm getting itchy. Our neighbor Olivia also getting a ton of spiders as well. It's just, this is what happens. And you said you saw a lot of people locally posting about it as well.
Yeah.
It's
like spider season.
And on Seattle Reddit, I saw someone say, I just moved here. Everyone always complains about either the weather or they warn you about the weather and the Seattle freeze or whatever. No one told me about the spiders in Washington. They are huge and they will march their ass in. I literally had a spider run in my door.
Here's your problem, Carla Marie. And there is already a home remedy, if you want to call it that. Mix mint oil, mint oil with water in a spray bottle as a deterrent.
I just basically ordered that from Amazon.
Here's your problem, Carla Marie. You're not strong enough to be the spider deterrent. You got to let them know who's boss in your home, and you've got to smash them.
Okay, so I will not.
A spider smash is the best deterrent.
Okay, so I do not kill them. I literally saw one running down my steps. Was running down the steps like it was a pet, like a cat. And the cats will eat them, and I scream because I'm like, oh, what if it's poisonous?
Yeah, they'll be fine.
So I do some kind of thing to scoop them into something, and then I throw them outside. And you know what? If they die outside, another animal will eat it. That's its place, right? I'm not squishing and flushing. I can't. I believe I used to, but you know what? One day I turned over a new leaf, a new web, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Karma, I'm going to put them outside.
So I'll give you an example. I don't know what type of bug this was last night, but I was sitting down.
No, I forgot about this. I forgot.
And it was kind of like a brown, it wasn't a centipede or anything. It
looked like the bug when you get you ever get like a lollipop and it's got a bug in it?
Yeah, like a mealworm, not
Maybe.
a mealworm.
That's what it looked like.
It looked like a skinny beetle almost, like a thin beetle. But I felt something on my neck as I was reading. Not a millipede. It didn't have a ton of legs. But I felt something on my neck, and I kind of I twitched, fell off. I eventually found it like 5 minutes later. And I thought to myself, not only did this bug get into my home, broke in, then it assaulted me, touched me without consent. This thing has to die. I have to send a message to its friends and its family to let you know that this behavior is unacceptable and these are the repercussions of your actions. Bug, smash, toilet,
you didn't even
gone.
Scream, which is crazy. No. Then he comes walking down the hallway. I'm already in bed to tell me this just happened and shows me a photo of the bug. And I said,
I still have it.
Why would you tell me that I'm in bed?
I just thought you'd want to know. I don't know.
I said, I never want to know that. Okay, I'm so itchy right now.
I still have it.
No.
I'll put it on the screen in a moment. I need to crop it a little bit.
So here's where the conundrum also happens. Spiders, they build their webs on my windows outside often. In the front by the light. They're always by the light. I know that's a thing. And I used to get rid of those by the front of the house, but now I'm like, it looks like a little Halloween decoration.
True, good timing.
A spider on the side of the house, like the side window and like their little yard area, started building a web. It was a tiny spider. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to go out there and swipe its web away. Like, what am I, some kind of a monster?
I agree. I wouldn't do that either.
This is the outside. My house was built in its land. They were here before I was.
Absolutely.
So
I agree with that.
But then this bitch, she grew. I would watch all the bugs that she would catch. And I would watch her web grow. I'm telling you, this web, I swear to God, is 3 feet by 2 feet at this point.
It's big. It's a good Halloween decoration.
So intricate. It's fascinating watching. She went from being a tiny spider to a big spider because she ate a lot. Mm-hmm. Then I go outside the other day and I'm like, let me look at her from outside. And I go out there and she gets spooked and goes running up into the corner by the window. And I look in the corner and I see a little nest that has probably, I don't know, 50 little white dots in it.
Oh, there's like 1,000 spiders in there.
So now I'm like, well, I definitely can't kill her now. She's waiting for her bait. Like, I'm not going to murder someone else's babies. This is crazy.
Real quick, and they're still outside. They're doing their thing. They're allowed to be outside.
No. Well, listen, I'm not going to take her out. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I love watching. It's like I'm in a zoo, but backwards. And then, before we're coming to do the show, someone else appeared. Another spider is building their home next to her name is Charlotte. And now I don't know if this one is like the baby daddy. I don't know if it's a guy, a girl. I know that Charlotte's a girl because of her eggs. And if I'm anywhere near her, she goes running up to the corner. And she even built another, like an extra serious little web around their nest. And I don't know how, like, humans can tell spiders that they are friends with them.
Like, don't bite me?
I'm here to protect you.
All right, let me put this on the screen real quick. This is the bug that I flicked off of my own neck the other day. And it did not meet a pleasant end.
But what is that? Now that looks like a termite.
I don't know. If it's a termite, that's a problem.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
I'm going to put it in the Google thing. Are you doing the Google thing?
I could do that. If anyone knows what this is, I don't think it's a termite, though.
No, they're much smaller.
Is it a roach?
Shut the fuck up if it's a roach.
No, not a termite. It says Coast to Coast Kiara, and I'm just going to take your word for it. I don't know why you're an expert in termites.
No, it's not a termite. Okay.
You or Deborah Wilson, who's also in the chat. I actually don't know what a termite looks like. I'll be honest with you.
Is there ever one roach?
I don't know.
My back is so itchy right now. My throat might actually close.
All right, let me see what the interwebs thinks this is. Hold on, let me take this off the screen now. But that's the bug. Listen, that thing was on my neck, and I would say it was about the size of my thumbnail. So, like, not tiny. Like, my thumbnail's a little bigger than yours. So that thing was on my neck.
Which way? Your thumbnail is like a little chode.
I have a normal thumbnail.
No, look at mine. Long.
Because your nail itself
Your
is
thumbnail
longer.
is wider than it is long. You have a chode thumbnail.
Whatever. Hold on, I gotta take this off the screen. So that thing was on my neck, and I said, absolutely not. You're not crawling into my home.
But I think the rudest
crawling
part of
onto
this
my neck,
is that you told me.
assaulting me, and living to tell about it.
But
Because here's what happens. What if I let that bug free?
Okay, here's
Right?
the other dilemma we've been having.
Well, you didn't listen to my first dilemma.
No, if you let the bug free, then it's going to tell other bugs. Yes,
Exactly.
but
And then it's gonna say,
say,
I crawled all over this idiot's neck, and he didn't even do anything. What a little bitch. Let's go in there. You, me, we'll steal everything. We'll climb over the cats. We'll climb over his girlfriend. We'll do whatever we want in the house because they're just going to let us out. No, you've got to stop them in their tracks.
Also,
And then now all of that bug's friends are like, hey, where did Harry go?
I keep
I have
finding
no idea.
weevils. They're like beetles
Mhm.
around the house. But also the cats go outside. Like, they're not outdoor cats. They're outside with us. They're in the yard.
Yes.
But what do they do when they're out there? They roll around. And John comes in with pollen all over him. So God only knows what they're bringing inside. I think I have to stick their asses in the bath this weekend.
Okay. What is this bug?
Okay, but
What is this larva? That's not larva, was it? I don't know.
It can't be
Is
larva.
this a German roach?
Shut the...
It's none of these are looking like the bug that was on me yesterday. I'm just now looking through a bunch of disgusting images on the
Well, then I
internet.
got nervous because I brought in a used book. A flying termite? Google Pacific damp wood termite? Oh, no.
Circle to search, according to Lenny, says termite.
Well, here's... No, it didn't look like that.
No.
Oh, my God. Get
Oh,
that.
that's gross. It did not look like
It
that.
did not
thing.
look like that.
Ugh.
2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
someone rang our doorbell, and I don't answer it. And I
Okay.
looked out the window, and whatever their hat said, I Googled it, and it was a pest control company. And now I think those guys planted it.
So I think what happened, and there is construction going on near our home. The house that was there that they knocked down
It's not a flying
had been there for a long time. And then it was empty for a while before they knocked it down. So I think there's just like a mass exodus of whatever bugs were on that property, and because now they're digging up and they're in the soil.
Yeah,
so
they're in it.
those bugs have to go somewhere, and now they're finding new homes. So it is our job to literally squash the problem.
Now, if it was like a termite, we would see more of them, I assume.
I don't know. I'm not like in the wood of our home.
I know that vacuuming often is supposed to help with this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but also I will try to take the spider, put it outside. Anthony will put it in a vacuum, and then he wants to just leave it in the vacuum.
No. I when I vacuum a spider, I take the canister, I dump it in the garbage, and I take it outside.
I'm going to get the thing. It's like, it looks like a handheld vacuum,
Yeah.
and it's clear.
But it
at
just
the
sucks up
end.
spiders?
No, it doesn't suck it up. You kind of just like put it on the bug, and then you close the little door, and then you can look at it with the magnifying glass, and you let it free.
Let's see.
So Meg said one time she was on a New York City subway and a roach fell on her head. And Fred the mailman says he walks through so many spider webs
Oh, I can
as a
imagine.
mailman that it would make you quit. And he said
Yeah.
sometimes he'll see them drop down from his hat.
We were on a walk one time and there was a spider that went down from my ear.
Okay, we got to move on.
All right, back to the list. Carther and Anthony music news. Now, normally this would be something that we would do in Pop Stop, but I feel like there's too much here that I do want to talk about with everybody because I'm so excited for it. Number one, Linkin Park finally came out with their announcement. They are going on tour. They're going to have a new album, and there is a new lead singer of Linkin Park, and it is indeed a woman. Because there were
it's crazy.
rumors before that's who they were going to replace, and I don't want to say replace Chester with, because you can't replace someone who was so good at what they did and so like emblematic of that band.
Yeah.
But they are going to add another lead singer to Linkin Park, and her name is
Wait, the Disney emo album came out today.
comes out tomorrow.
Oh.
For us, it's tonight. For us, it'll be in a couple hours.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Emily Armstrong from rock band Dead Sarah. I'd never heard of Dead Sarah before, but they have a couple clips on their Instagram, and she sounds incredible.
That's awesome.
And I do like the fact that they said, you know what, we're not going to try to replace Chester's sound. That is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just open it up to see who sounds the coolest with our band.
I love that.
You know, because I think it was Queen who not replaced, but
I know.
they used Adam Lambert to go on tour
right.
with Queen, and he does have a phenomenal voice. But it does feel like they almost tried to make him the new Freddie Mercury.
Which you can't.
Because he is, listen, Freddie was flamboyant and
Today was his
outgoing.
birthday.
And today was Freddie Mercury's birthday? Happy birthday, Freddie. Freddie was flamboyant and outgoing and everything, and he was a big persona. And those are all things that Adam Lambert has, and they both have great voices. So it's hard to view that as not replacing Freddie Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is so different that you can't even draw comparisons, and I think that's going to help her a lot.
Yeah. I think that's important too, because of course her voice isn't going to sound exactly like his.
Yeah. And you wouldn't expect that. Whereas
I almost bet it's more likely for a woman to emulate a lot of Chester sounds than, well, maybe not.
I don't know. The screaming
is hard.
His range.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah.
And I'm not I don't know things about the octaves and whatnot, but from a listener standpoint, the way that he goes from singing beautifully,
it's crazy,
to screaming in not like a metal scream, but like almost a pleasant scream.
Yeah.
It's just the wildest thing I think I've ever heard in music. And I know there are other bands who have great lead singers that can sing, scream, and whatnot. He was special.
Mm-hmm.
And the band itself was so unique because it was one of those first like rock rap collaborations.
Crazy.
With a live DJ.
I didn't think I even realized that part.
Yeah, it was everything they did was so unique, from the production of it, the live performance, the sound, everything. Let's see, but very few people can emulate Chester's screaming because it isn't a traditional scream like I was kind of alluding to. It's just an insane amount of distortion.
It's crazy.
That's from Cheese Dot. Hello, Cheese Dot. Good to see you in the chat. Cheese Dot also wants us to know that Derrick Henry ran for a touchdown earlier. So if he was on your fantasy team. Oh, I didn't set my team.
I can't believe I listened to you for advice. I set my team days ago.
Although I don't have any Chiefs, I believe, and I don't think I have anyone on the Ravens either. So I don't think today's game matters for me. Tomorrow's game, which, reminder, there is a game on a Friday night this weekend. Tomorrow's game does matter for me because I believe I have Saquon Barkley. So.
Because the Friday night game, I don't think I looked at when I was.
And in tomorrow's podcast, I explained why there is a Friday night game tomorrow and why it's even allowed to exist.
It is weird.
Because it should
It's
not
so
exist.
Weird. It's so weird.
It is illegal in normal situations for a NFL game to be on a Friday night. Like, actually illegal by government
so
standpoint.
tell us
So
for the podcast.
I'll explain that tomorrow in the morning show podcast. The morning show podcast.
Maybe that's your other podcast.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was, let me grab this image first. The announcement came out today for Stagecoach next year.
Oh, I didn't actually look into it.
So not preseason. Pre-sale starts on a week from tomorrow. Next Friday is when you can buy your first tickets. You can put $99 down.
That's
They're not
crazy.
paying us for this, by the way. And then pay throughout the year. Here is the lineup. The headliners for each day, Carla Marie. Zach Bryan on Friday. Who I
Okay.
don't know a lot of his music, but I know he's like huge. Jelly Roll on Saturday.
Okay.
And the headliner of all headliners, because this is the Sunday show,
I didn't even see this.
Luke Combs.
Oh, I like Luke Combs. Wait,
Then what?
didn't we see him at Stagecoach?
2 years ago, I believe we did on Friday, maybe.
Maybe.
And then we saw him recently in Seattle.
Mhm.
Midland and Sammy Hagar are going to be supporting Luke Combs on that Sunday. So Sammy Hagar will be an interesting one
Yeah,
to
it's
see.
cool.
And then on I guess it's the Palomino stage is what
Yeah,
they call it, which is where like the kind of
Diplo
non-country
was there. Yeah.
T-Pain, Creed, Backstreet Boys. Back to back to back. Diplo, Creed, Backstreet Boys.
Steve would have lost his mind.
I know. And I think we're going to try to go, especially because I do want to see Creed.
What?
Also, Guy Fieri is having his Stagecoach Smokehouse again.
Okay.
And as always, Diplo's Honky Tonk will be
Cool.
in that stage as well.
All right. I would go to this 800 times
Yeah.
before I'd go to Coachella.
This actually sounds great. And I will say, if you've never been to Stagecoach,
It's a good time.
out of all the festivals I've been to, the vibe of just like the crowd is probably the best.
Yeah.
It's everything that you could enjoy about Coachella in terms of all the artists and people dress up and have a great time. It's just a little less pretentious.
Yep, for sure.
I still
it's-
love Coachella. It's just a different experience. Also, this was one I found weird, and I did message Andrew already. Lana Del Rey
Oh,
is performing on one of the regular stages on Friday.
interesting. So basically, they're like, are these festivals even different than one another anymore?
Stagecoach is still very much country because you have like Brothers Osborne, you
Yeah.
have Ashley McBride, Shabuzi. There's a lot of like real country artists, but I think they're just throwing in some other stuff for fun because they realize that country isn't just like this weird niche anymore, right? It's basically pop music. Let's see. What else do we have here? The Elder Millennial Dream, T-Pain, Creed,
Seriously.
and Backstreet Boys. I do want to see Creed live. And I know
I've
they've
never
had
seen
a
them
like research. Oh, the other band?
Who?
Wait, let me make sure it's still on here and I didn't make this up. Yes. Goo Goo Dolls.
Ooh.
Sunday at Stagecoach, Goo Goo Dolls are performing.
Iris?
They're obviously going to play Iris. But like, how sick is that?
Damn. All right,
Imagine-
I'll go.
I mean-
what are the dates?
That's a great question.
It's only one weekend, right? They only
It is
do
one weekend. It is usually goes Coachella weekend 1, Coachella weekend 2, and then immediately after that is Stagecoach, which, by the way, is why you absolutely need
A dust
a
thing.
dust, something to cover the
'cause
dust
there's
from
no
your nose and
grass
your mouth.
left.
Yeah.
'Cause everyone else stomped it out.
Let's see. Tickets go on sale Friday the 13th at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
It's next Friday.
Where the hell's the date? California's Country Music Festival. Oh, there it is. It's the smallest text you could put on here. Saturday, April 26th. So the 25th, 26th, and 27th of April next year. So
Okay.
get those dollars ready because it ain't cheap.
All right. I need to use the ladies' room.
Okay?
Are we, should I stick it out or what's going on?
Yeah, let's do these two real quick. So
Oh, there's more things.
there's
I
two
forgot.
things really quick. There's Baby Jake's big ad and new football. So Jake let us know. I want to read the text from him because I'm
Yeah.
so proud of him.
So cool.
If you don't know, our friend Baby Jake,
Jake, the
AKA
producer.
Jake the producer, he worked with us at Elvis Show. He's an intern on Elvis's show and then did a kind of a production job. Then he took the role that I had when I left. He became the video producer for Elvis, and he's done so much with video production
Crazy.
that he's moved around the country because he's so good at it. And he texted us this morning because
'Cause
now
now-
he's working for Royal Caribbean.
He does. He's like a content producer or director.
And he said, if you're watching football tonight or all season, you'll see a Royal Caribbean commercial that is the culmination of a lot of my productions.
So cool.
So the shots, he's not necessarily the one shooting them.
No,
he's at a
he's
point now where he can just
tell
kind of tell
people
people
what
what
to
his
do.
vision is. So a lot of the things that you'll see in these Royal Caribbean ads
Yeah.
during football games are Jake's vision
So crazy.
and direction, which is so cool. Yeah. So feel free, if you ever watch a game and you see it, tag him. Is it producer Jake or Jake the producer? What's his?
Jake the producer. Jake's potato.
And then the last thing is you will notice that kickoffs specifically are going to look a lot different this year.
Yeah.
Be patient with it because it is, I believe, a better brand of football than we've had over the last couple of years because kickoffs and kick returns used to be exciting.
Yeah, but then it's just like so boring.
And then people got hurt. So what they did was they said, okay, well, we're going to move the position where the kicker goes up. And then it just ended up being touchbacks.
Every time.
And it was almost a waste of time, right? You go, oh, there's a touchback.
Just start at the 20-yard line.
What they're doing now is there is a 20-yard zone that the kicker needs to place the ball into. Okay.
If they don't, what happens?
If they don't, it goes to the 35, I believe.
Okay.
So it's like a penalty if you don't
get it in that
basically
little
allow the kick returner to catch the ball and return it. Where the players are going to be lined up is different. If you remember not back in the day, even up to last season, the team that was kicking would have a running start, right? They kind of run with the kicker until the ball is hit. Now you're going to have more of like a still lineup where essentially an offensive and defensive line are lined up together. And you're going to have these real returns. So it's almost going to be like a spread option type of play every kickoff. So it should create for more exciting football.
And what's the other thing?
That was it.
Oh.
That was just the new brand of football.
Two things in football that are new this year. There's something else.
Yeah, Baby Jake's ads.
No, there's something else. I forget what it is. There is another rule.
Let's see. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. If anyone in the chat wants to jump in and help us out. Jen said we have the game on now. We'll keep an eye out.
I know that people can wear their squishy helmets if they want.
Huh?
The squishy helmets.
They can wear those in-game?
Mm-hmm. There were some guys using them preseason during games.
Fred said the kickoff has been weird. I really do think, Fred, even though it's weird to watch, you're going to see teams start putting their better players there because they can now make plays.
Okay, the hip drop tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like a new dance.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL clubs voted unanimously to remove the hip drop tackle from the game this season. It occurs when a defender wraps up a ball carrier and rotates or swivels his hips, unweighting himself and dropping onto the ball carrier's legs during the tackle.
Unweighting himself is such a weird term. I mean, just basically if you wrap them up by the waist and you just fall like behind them, that's now illegal, or versions of that is illegal.
So let's see. A hip drop tackle will result in a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down if a player uses the following technique to bring a runner to the ground.
Okay.
Grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms. That's almost every.
But it's not. It's the way you bring them down after that, right? You can tackle them.
It will happen if you grab the runner with both hands or wrap the runner with both arms, and also if you they unweight themselves by swiveling around, dropping to the ground. Either one of those things. If they use the following technique to bring a runner to the ground. So those are two bullets, how they're written out.
Yeah, that's interesting that they're written as two different things. I thought it was those things combined make
but
that.
That's not what it's. That's on the NFL website.
Let's see. I think that's everything. Run Like Husky said, these night shows have been fun. We'll miss it. Hey, you never know. It could come back. We could switch it up a little bit.
I don't know about the hip drop tackle.
What was that?
I want to know. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out.
Well, maybe you could get one of your football friends.
They're busy doing the football.
Maybe they can join us on Tuesday, and say, hey, this is what we learned in week 1.
I really got to go to the bathroom. It hurts.
Peace out, everybody. We will be back to our normal schedule on Monday, so make sure you are here Monday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. Peace out.